So if you're a homeowner out there, you may not know when it's time to get a new roof. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you some telltale signs on when it's time for you to get a new roof. So I'm here in beautiful Fancy Gap, Virginia right now. We're actually right down the road on a project for the National Park Service, replacing the roof on the Blue Ridge Music Center. And I'm staying in an Airbnb, and the people that I'm staying with was telling me they had some roof leaks, and I'll let them know that I'm a roofing contractor by trade, and they asked me if I'd come up here and take a look. So while I was up here, I thought it was a really great time to show you guys when it's probably time to think about getting your roof replaced, because this roof is definitely in that position. And I'm going to also show you some potential hail hits on this roof and what that actually looks like. I'm going to show you your shingles failing and what that looks like when your shingles start to fail. I'm also going to show you how to properly install your boots, and then when your boots are actually failing, and some of these are actually installed improperly, which is part of the reason why they're having a leak. And then I'm just going to talk a little bit about the lifetime of these roofing systems and when you actually need to replace them versus when you just kind of want to replace it. So anyway, let's get started with the video. Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is the shingles. Well, this roof has a pretty old shingle system. I would probably say these are probably anywhere from 15 to 20 years, just based on looking at them. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what's going to cause your shingles to lose their lifespan, them to wear out a little bit faster, and some things that you can do to help improve that. Well, one of the first things I guess you probably can see in this camera is you can see all these dark spots. Okay, and then you can see here on the ridge cap, there's actually spots that are so bad that it's actually penetrated. Now, one of the things that you've got to be able to decide is what is a hail hit and then what is a blister. And if you're a homeowner, I don't expect you guys to know this, but I'm just going to show you. It doesn't matter whether it's a hail hit or it's blistering. It's going to cause basically the lifespan of your roof to be decreased substantially. So all this up here is what we call blistering. So as I zoom in here, you can see here, this isn't something that would be caused by hail, these little tiny spots. What this is an overheated roofing system. It's popping and it's shooting off all these granules here. So that's what this is, okay? All these spots here, and you see they're not very uniform. A hail hit is going to come down and hit, because you think a hailstone, most of them are relatively circular. It's gonna hit and it's gonna cause an indentation in your shingle, and then it's going to cause some of these granules to fall off, just like you see here. But this is absolutely not hail. And being the fact that they're all over this roof, not just on the ridge cap here, I would probably venture to say this is just due to poor ventilation and poor install by the roofing contractor. So that's obviously going to cause the lifespan of your roof to decrease. Also, if you look at these, I mean, these are so bad, there's actually penetration. So I'll be surprised if water hasn't already gotten down in the decking of this roofing system. So that's one of the major things that's going to cause I'm going to say it in a second, your lifespan of your roof to be decreased. So next thing is we're going to talk about how brittle your shingles are. So now most of the time, this really isn't going to matter unless you need to get a repair done. So if you're someone who has an active leak and you're wanting to get a repair done, but it's just over maybe an area like a boot, like this area. So this is a new boot that was installed improperly, by the way. This is not the proper way to install a boot, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to talk about why this is bad for your roofing system when you have old shingles. So when you go to install these, a lot of times, you can see they did this here, when you lift up on an old shingle, it's called what we call brittle. And so when it's brittle, it'll actually break. Now, most of the time when you get brand new asphalt shingles, they're not gonna break. You can bend them, it's no big deal. You'll see your guys when they're installing them. But on this type of system, it's so old, whenever they went to install this, they actually broke some of the shingles. Now we can go into a whole other detail on how to properly install this, but as you can probably tell, it's not done correctly. But this was a new repair, because you can tell how new this is compared to the rest of things on the roof. Okay, so brittleness, and then of course, like I said, hail hits and also blistering is definitely going to decrease the lifespan of your roof. The next thing we're going to talk about here is moss. Now, moss is only going to grow on the north side of your roofing system, but I also have a video on how to clean your roof. Guys, it's very important that if you have not moss or algae grown on your roof, you need to get it off. It's very easy to take off. Like I said, I got a video on it. Most of the stuff you can do from household chemicals you write at your house, and you can have it done in a day or two. Not even a full day's work. I'm talking about it's going to take you about an hour to get most of the moss off your roof. So this is something that's going to really reduce the lifespan of your roof. So this needs to go. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to talk about, and this is where we see a ton of leaks come from, is from chimneys. Now, if you're not actively using your fireplace, when you go to replace your roof, talk to your roofing contractor about just knocking the chimney off. It's really inexpensive to do. If he's charging you an arm and a leg, find another roofing contractor. It's not very expensive to do. And what you're going to do is you're going to knock the chimney off down below the decking, and then you're just going to deck over the top of it. So it's going to stay in the foundation of your actual home, but you're just going to go ahead and remove this part of your roofing system that can cause leaks. Because as you can see, this was done a very, very long time ago, and you're starting to see cracks right here in the tar. And so when you have cracks, that causes places for leaks to happen. So your chimney is one of the other places that you have really, really bad leaks. Now, the only other part that's not on this roof that I say a lot of leaks come from is your valleys. So there are a lot of valleys that'll leak. Unfortunately, I can't show you this in this video because it's just not on here, but that's another major place that you're going to get leaks from, and it's very hard to repair, particularly if your roofing system's fairly old. Okay, so I told you we were going to talk a little bit about hail and hail hits and what they look like, and I'm going to talk a little bit just real quick about the difference. So this right here would be what you would call a potential hail hit. As you can see, it's really dark, it's indented, something definitely hit here, and the granules are removed. Now, we know the ridge cap has a ton of damage here, okay? I can tell you 1000% that is not from hail. But this is a spot that could be from hail. As you can see, the difference between this and this, there's a big difference between the two. Obviously, this looks like a stone came out of the sky and hit. Now, the reason, if you're a homeowner, you need to make sure you find a contractor that knows the difference. If you go to file a claim and what you have is blisters and not hail damage, your insurance company is not going to cover it because that's just a poor install. That's not what they're covering. They're going to cover peril for events like hail, wind, a tree falling on your roof. That's what your insurance company is actually going to cover. So it's important to know the difference between the two, but do know that both of them over time will cause leaks on your roof. And if it hasn't actually gotten to your home, it's definitely going to be causing some damage on your decking. So I just wanted to show you what the two look like. I think this roof has received some hail, but it's really hard to tell because there's also so much blistering as well. But this is one that if you had a qualified roofing contractor come out and do an inspection, you may be able to get your insurance company to just pay for the new roof. Well, recently I just did a video talking about the lifespan of different roofs and how long a roof will last. Well, your typical, this is a architectural style asphalt shingle roof. So these should last anywhere from 15 to 30 years. And the reason there's such a big gap there is because it really depends on where you're at in the US or the world for that matter, and install an asphalt shingle roof. If you live somewhere that's got a nice climate where you don't get a ton of rain and a ton of wind and a ton of hailstorms, your roof obviously will last longer. And also if you don't deal with extreme colds and extreme heats, these are all things that can negatively affect your shingles. So if you live somewhere, let's say in California, where you get very, very few large storms, and you're not in an area where it just rains all the time, your roof's probably going to last a pretty long time. It could be upwards of the 30 years, particularly if you have a higher end shingle. Now, if you live somewhere like where our office is in North Alabama, where we get a ton of storms, it rains all the time, it's hot in the summer, it gets cold enough in the winter to get under freezing, and you buy a three tab shingle, especially an inexpensive 3-tab shingle, you may only get 15 years out of it, maybe less, may only last 10 or 12 years. So it really varies on those conditions. I've done a whole video talking about how long a roof will last, just an overall general overview of different type of roofing systems. But for an asphalt shingle roof, that's your typical lifespan. Now, if you have a bad contractor and he doesn't install it by the manufacturer recommendation, well, you may end up with a roof that doesn't even last 10 years. I've seen them last 5 or 6 years or less because of poor installs, and the whole roof had to be replaced. So anyway, that's my little nugget on the lifespan of your roof. Well, as you can see, I'm off the roof now, and I don't know exactly what happened to my outro video. I typically do that when I'm actually on location shooting. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful on when it's time to replace your roof. Now remember, just because your roof's not actively leaking doesn't mean it's not time to go ahead and replace it, just because you want to keep all the water on the outside of your home, not allow it to get on the inside. So if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel a lot. If you want to see more information from us, please subscribe to the channel, and please go to our website at digitalroofingcompany.com. And as always, at Digital Roofing Innovations, we believe in a modern approach with traditional values. Thanks a lot and have a great day.